Hey guys, what is up? It is SSD Middleman here with GuidesForUsAll, and today we're going to be checking out my top 10 picks for the best weapons in Fallout 3. Now, of course, these are my opinions. I have looked into the statistics of the weapons. My personal opinions of these weapons obviously will play a part in what I think is the best, but I've compiled this list. This was subscriber requested several times, so let's just get started with number 10, the Backwater Rifle. Now, the reason I like the Backwater Rifle so much is that it does 45 damage per shot, it has 45 critical damage, and it has a 5x critical percentage chance multiplier, which means pretty much every shot you're going to be doing 90 damage. This thing is insanely accurate, and with headshots and or sneak attacks, it's going to be doing a ton of damage. It's a great weapon to have in your arsenal to take out those longer range enemies, especially if you don't like using the sniper rifles in this game, as I believe in Fallout 3 personally. I think the sniper rifles are a little underpowered. They don't really pack a huge punch behind them. That's just my opinion. Some of you guys might think differently, but let's move on to number 9, which is the Terrible Shotgun, which in my opinion is not terrible at all. This thing you can get somewhat early on in the game, since you do get it from Evergreen Mills. All you have to do is take out some raiders and move in there and get it from the Merchant Smiling Jack. This weapon is fantastic. It does 80 damage per shot if all of your pellets land, and of course it will do 40 critical damage if you do land a critical hit, giving you the opportunity for a critical hit on every pellet, meaning you could get 9 critical hits. 9 times 40 is 360 extra damage added onto your shot if you were lucky enough to have each of those crit. Obviously that's completely unrealistic to think that that will happen ever. But if you do have high luck and that perk that increases, I think it's called Better Criticals, you will be doing a ton of damage with this weapon, and I think it's very solid. It holds up into the end game, and that's why this is my number 9 choice. Now on to number 8, the Electro Suppressor. This is the unique variant of the Shock Baton in the Mothership Zeta DLC, and it does 25 damage per hit. It only has 4 critical damage and a 1x critical percentage chance multiplier, so you might be thinking, well, this weapon sounds absolutely horrendous, but the beauty of this is its special effect. When you land a critical hit, it will knock down your opponent for, it says 2 seconds on the wiki, but I found that it actually lasts a bit longer than 2 seconds, especially if you count in the time it takes for them to stand back up. And if you critical again while they're already knocked down onto the ground, it will keep them knocked onto the ground, making super difficult fights like Super Mutant Behemoths very trivial, as you can see here in the gameplay. He doesn't even get a chance to hit me. I just keep knocking him on the ground. Same goes for Death Claws. This weapon is great if you use it in VATS and you land that critical hit in VATS. The enemy will be knocked to the ground, and right when you get out of VATS, you can just wail on them. So that is why this weapon is my number 8 pick. Now on to number 7, the Metal Blaster. This is a unique variant of the laser rifle. It does 55 damage per shot, although that is spread across 9 shots, which means 6.1 damage per shot times 9. Now it has a 1.5x critical percentage chance multiplier, and the critical damage is 27. Now if you do remember with the Terrible Shotgun, since it shoots multiple shots, each shot has a chance to land that critical hit. This makes the Metal Blaster even better, as it has the 1.5x critical percentage chance multiplier, allowing you to land those criticals even more often, and it shoots 9 lasers per shot, and since these are in such a tight spread, you're going to be hitting with each of those lasers pretty much every time you shoot, as long as you do not use VATS. That is really the one downfall of the Metal Blaster, is it performs very poorly in VATS. If it does register as a miss, those lasers will go everywhere, and you will not hit them with maybe 1 or 2. So that's why this weapon is great. Don't use it in VATS, but those criticals will be doing insane amounts of damage with the Metal Blaster. Now, on to number 6? Yeah, 6. The Man Opener. The Man Opener is a unique variant of the Auto Axe in the DLC The Pit. This weapon is amazing because it will be doing 35 damage per second, which doesn't sound like much at first. Of course, that is before you calculate in any buffs you have that increase your damage, like Psycho or the Bloody Mess perk. But this weapon actually ignores damage resistance, meaning that enemies like Enclave soldiers with huge numbers for damage resistance, it'll be like you're fighting a rad roach, and you can chop right through them with the Man Opener. The one downside, obviously, is that this thing breaks down pretty quickly, and you can only repair it with other auto axes that you obtain from inside the Pit DLC. But other than that, there's really no downside to this weapon. It has mass DPS, and it ignores damage resistance, making it one of the best weapons in the game. Now on to my number 5 pick, which is Paulson's Revolver. which is the unique variant of the scoped 44 Magnum that you can get by killing Paulson in the DLC Mothership Zeta. Now, this is not like the other revolvers. It will not shoot a single shot. Much like the Metal Blaster, it will actually shoot 9 shots every time you pull the trigger, which will add up to 45 damage, 5 damage a shot. However, this has a 2x critical percentage chance multiplier and a 35 critical damage. When you land those critical hits, you will deal 35 extra damage. As you can see here, if you land several critical hits with one shot, you will be doing an ungodly amount of damage per shot with the Paulson's Revolver. If you're lucky, you can take down Deathclaws in one hit without needing to sneak attack them or even headshot them. You can just walk up to them, blast them in the chest, one shot, donezo. But you would have to land every critical for that. And of course, headshots do play a huge role in this as well. The spread is a little looser than the Metal Blaster is, so you might be missing some of the shots with Paulson's Revolver. It does function more like a shotgun, but after they get to about medium range, pretty much every shot is going to land. This is one of my favorite weapons in the game. I love that there is no scope. Unlike the scoped 44 Magnum, there's no scope, so you do get the regular aiming, like in Fallout 3. I really love this weapon, personally. I don't see a lot of people using it, but I think it is one of the best in the game. Now on to my number 4 pick, which is Vengeance. Vengeance is a unique variant of the Gatling laser, which you can get from the Deathclaw Sanctuary. Fully automatic Gatling laser. It does 11 damage per shot. The critical damage is 12, although the critical percentage chance multiplier is 0.05, which isn't very high. So really, critical hits and luck is not going to play a huge role when you're using Vengeance. Now, there is another unique variant called the Precision Gatling Laser, and I had to fight in my head as to which was better. The Precision Gatling Laser only does 8 damage, but it does have a 0.2x critical percentage chance multiplier, although the critical damage is lowered to 6. So in the end, I say that Vengeance is far better. With the lasers shooting as fast as they do, and them dealing 11 damage per shot, especially if you have perks that increase your damage or your potency with energy weapons, with big guns, this weapon is absolutely insane. I'd say the one downside is that it uses electron charge packs, which can be a little more rare to find in the wasteland, but this weapon will mow down any kind of enemy in a matter of seconds. It's especially good with crowd control, as you don't need to stop firing. You just have a huge amount of ammo in each clip with 240 lasers to boot, and yeah, you can mow down pretty much anybody with this. Now moving on to my number 3 pick, A321's Plasma Rifle. This weapon is fantastic because it does 50 damage per shot, 50 critical damage when you land it, and it has a 2.5x critical percentage chance multiplier. Couple that with the fact that you can shoot this thing pretty quick, and you have yourself a very nice DPS machine. You can get this by completing the Replicated Man quest. And now, this isn't really inherently one of the most amazing weapons in the game, but the fact that you can get this really early in the game makes it so much better and very, very high on my list. You could do the Replicated Man quest at an insanely low level. You could probably leave the vault and go straight to completing the Replicated Man quest. So you can get this at a very low level. You can have a 100 damage per shot weapon at a very low level, and it only gets better the higher level you get. Really not much bad to say about this weapon. It's an amazing weapon, and I definitely recommend having it in any arsenal. Now on to my number 2 pick, the Mpl X Nova Surge, which is the unique variant of the plasma pistol, which you can find in Mothership Zeta. Now, this guy here will be dealing 80 damage per shot. 80 damage per shot. That's just the base damage. Once you get into the criticals, the percentage chance multiplier is ×3, so if your luck is high, you have better criticals, you're going to be landing these very often, and the critical damage itself is 75. 75. That means when you hit an enemy with a critical hit, you are dealing 155 damage. Wow. Yeah, exactly. Now the one downside to this is that its clip is halved compared to the regular plasma pistol because it fires 2 energy cells every time you shoot as opposed to 1, so you will only be able to fire 8 times before you need to reload again. But that damage is absolutely absurd. This is probably the best improvement on a non-unique weapon, as the regular plasma pistol does 25 damage, same with the critical damage only 25, and the Mpl X Nova Surge does 80 damage per shot with 75 critical damage. This, in my opinion, is probably one of the best critical weapons in the game. You land that critical, 155 damage, which is just crazy. Only downside being the low clip size and the fact that it breaks down pretty quickly. You can only fire this 188 times from full condition before it breaks. And now, drum roll, what is my number one pick for the best weapon in Fallout 3? Surprisingly, it's not even a unique weapon. It is the Alien Blaster. It was obvious. Everybody knew it was coming. The Alien Blaster is by far the best weapon in the entire game of Fallout 3, including all of the DLCs. To get this, all you need to do is go to the Alien Crash site. There are 120 Alien Power Cells you can get, and the Alien Blaster. This thing will deal 100 damage per shot right off the bat. You will critical hit with it 100% of the time, which will add another 100 damage onto it, giving you 200 damage per shot. You could shoot this thing pretty quickly, and it has 10 shots in the clip. You have to think about the fact that you could go straight from leaving Vault 101 straight to picking up the Alien Blaster and having a 200 damage per shot weapon at your disposal. You could kill anything. You really could kill anything. You could go straight to killing the behemoths. You could go straight to clearing out Old Only with the Death Claws. This weapon is just absurd. Now, of course, the downside to this, obviously, is the fact that you only get 120 Alien Power Cells when you get this weapon. You can actually also find some extras when you play through the Mothership Zeta DLC, but this weapon is just so absurdly powerful. The fact that you can get it so early on in the game makes it an absolute powerhouse. I feel like most players, including myself, actually opt out of grabbing this weapon because it makes the game so easy. And another note about the lack of ammo is the fact that you're not going to encounter enemies that are so powerful that you need the Alien Blaster very often. So those 120 shots could help you clear out pretty much every Deathclaw, every Super Mutant Behemoth, and you'd still have some to spare. Anyways, that's my top 10 list for the best weapons in Fallout 3. If you guys have some disagreements or some opinions on what you personally think is the best weapon in Fallout 3, make sure to leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you enjoyed, please leave a like rating down below and subscribe to see some more videos in the future, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.